the Russian Foreign Office, everybody, and Europe said no, and Washington said no. No, you can't do that. Now what's happened? Nearly a year later, they asked Putin, please come to Minsk and discuss with Poroshenko, Russia, Ukraine, and Europe, a three-way deal. 4,000 people have died. 1 million people have been turned into refugees. The Donbass has been destroyed for an agreement that could have had without one shot fired in November 1 year ago. Who's responsible for that? Historians will look back and ask, who was responsible for the deaths of those people, that destruction, those refugees, when the outcome was available in November 2013 with a little diplomacy? That is a collapse of diplomacy. Why did the West exclude Russia from the negotiations in November? That's the question.
You actually...
Do you know the reason why?
Why?
What do you think?
Oh, well, you tell me.
I think it was about NATO expansion, that trade agreement.
Oh, obviously that's another huge topic because many believe that NATO expansion is the main stumbling point between Russia and the West. Also, NATO's strategy to actually move Ukraine out of Russia's orbit is a huge problem for Russia. Should Russia consider NATO's actions in Europe as a threat?
Well, if I found out where you lived and I came to your house and I sat out in front of your house with a lot of weapons and I said to you, Sophie, I'm not here to harm you. This is good for you. This is security. You'd be frightened and worried and buy a few guns to protect yourself, obviously. Look, when NATO expansion began in the 1990s, the late George Kennan, who was considered the wisest man in America about American-Russian relations, said this is a terrible, reckless, stupid decision, and it will lead to a new Cold War. 20 years later, George, I call him George because we both were in Princeton together, we saw each other regularly, was correct. He was not alone. I said it. Jack Matlock, who was Reagan's ambassador to the Soviet Union under Gorbachev, a lot of people warned that the expansion of NATO eastward was going to lead to a very bad situation.